Hi everyone. Welcome back to CaliKim Garden Life, where we take you behind the scenes of what goes on in between filming our regular garden how-to videos.
By way of introduction, I'm Camera Guy, Kim's husband. I film and edit our videos, and I'm claustrophobic. And this past week, I had to face it. Oh yeah, ow. Okay. Well, if you know, then you know. I'm under the deck. And what I'm doing here now is going to take out the blackberries. See them down there? They're huge. And some of them are even growing up through the slats. And you know how much I like it under here. Being sarcastic. Kim just said I could just snip them. Look at all this. I think I remember hearing that blackberries are invasive. I'm not a gardener. I'm the camera guy. This is the part that I don't like. It's turning around. This is a little bit... This is the tough part. So here we go. Oh, not bad. Not bad. Okay. Okay, almost there. Thanks for bearing with me. Okay. I see the light. Walk towards the light. Walk towards the light. Well, that's going to do it for me into the deck. I am beat. I got everything done, though, that I wanted to get done underneath here. I put some bender board around some of the footings just to keep the water and the soil from, falling into the footer area. I also dropped some pebble rock underneath where the containers are up on the deck. That way, that water just rolls down the hill and doesn't take any soil with it.
I've got to put the shade cloth up again today. It is going to be a cooker. We're expecting triple digits for about a week. Now, I don't love putting shade cloth up over my garden. I'm kind of bummed we have to do it again. I really enjoy seeing the beauty of the garden. Took it down last week because we had some friends over and I wanted to enjoy it together. But you know what? It's better than having dead plants. So up to the shed we go to grab the shade cloth. Now, the one thing I did get done this week after last week's video is I actually got my shade cloth organized. Labeled it all so I know exactly which piece goes in which spot. The last time I put the shade cloth up, I think it took me 3 hours. So I'm really hoping for a shorter install time today. Fingers crossed. Now I'm not quite brave enough to show you where I keep my shade cloth because I haven't got organized. I'm gonna go grab it and then we'll start. So what I've done is put all of my shade cloth into bins except for a few pieces that didn't fit and then labeled it with a piece of painter's tape and a permanent marker. I'm hoping it really cuts down on my install time. So I'm going to start with the tomato string trellises right here, which by the way are getting a lot of really amazing tomatoes on them, and I do not want them getting ruined by the heat. Shade cloth labeled, trellis number 2, and then I've got my clips all in my smart pots, which I can then carry around the garden with me as I'm installing the shade cloth. So here we go. Even found a few fun little surprises while I was putting up shade cloth. This is a striped Armenian cucumber. Look at how long this thing is. Got the shade cloth up all over the garden. It's such a relief to have it while it's still pretty cool out here. I actually did it in about an hour and a half today, which is a big improvement over the 3 hours last time. Didn't fall off the ladder, it didn't fall off the stone walls, which is always a big accomplishment. And I did learn a couple of adjustments I'm going to make for next time. For example, the chill zone here is such a large piece of shade cloth. I need to mark which corner my label goes on to avoid having to turn the shade cloth the other direction so that it fits. But I am also very thankful for the viewer suggestions that a couple of you sent in to put water bottles over the top of the tall poles. It really helped with the shade cloth adjustment when I was trying to pull over the top. So thanks for that. Now I know a lot of you like me are getting weary of the heat. Wow, it's really tough on the garden. There's some disease and some bugs creeping in. So I got my work cut out for me this evening to spray and trim. The pollinator garden, I just don't have enough shade cloth to cover. So I just tried to mainly focus on the garden areas that are edible. Let me know how your garden is holding up in the heat. I know it's been a tough summer for a lot of you and you might be getting weary, but I want to encourage you, don't give up. Keep on growing, even if it's just a few small containers that you restart again and can keep in a shady area or by your back door so you can easily get outside and tend for them.
Day 2 of fixing this. Yes, it's me. Day 2 of fixing the skirting back here. This is my goal for today. It's just to get the skirting done right along here. It's really going to add a nice cosmetic touch to finally be done with that. And I also had another idea in my sleep. I've told you about this, about something to do here. I don't want to say too much right now because it's here and I don't want her to hear it yet. Now I'm all about repurposing the use of space and also multi-purposing the use of space. This is basically max thoroughfare, under the deck, out the other side. But over here, unused space. Are you with me? Now I know a certain someone that has a bunch of sticks that she doesn't think I know about, but I know about them. I know where they are and how many there are. But what I can do here, a support beam across here, just a light piece of wood, support beam across there, and Kim can store her trellis sticks to her heart's content. I think it's a good thing. The other thing that I thought of that could go below all said storage sticks is the tomato cages, heaped up in a pile in the corner of the yard. Those can go underneath as well. I think it's a win-win. Let me know what you think.
Well, it's Saturday morning, and typically what I like to do on Saturdays, which I'm sure a lot of you do too, is spend a little extra time in the garden when I don't have the hustle and bustle of work. And I always like to take a few minutes just to sit here by the Pollinator garden and kind of look around and see what needs to be done. Got my smoothie in hand. Today's going to be a hot one. I did get the shade cloth up yesterday. I did take some of it down last night because we had some friends over and I wanted to enjoy the garden with them. But there is so much that needs pruned and clipped and trimmed. It's been so hot, I haven't wanted to get out here. So that's what's on the agenda today. But first, I need to go inside and bring out some of the plants that need hardened off because it is so hot. But what I've been doing is putting them upstairs on the upper deck underneath the shade cloth by the Smart Pots garden, leaving them there for about half the day. They get some filtered sunlight and then bringing them back in. I'm going to have to figure out how to harden them off in the sun with triple digits. That's going to be challenging. So got all the plants outside in the sun, in the partial sun anyway. Now the key is not to forget them. First line of attack here for the garden is to trim up the hill. Now the hill has gotten to where it's a little bit hard to walk down. It grows super fast in the summer, and like I said, it's been so hot. I haven't gotten out here to film, but on hot days, definitely the line of attack is to do the hill first because otherwise it gets way too hot, and then focus on other areas of the garden that are in the shade a little bit later, like the chill zone. Now the chill zone raised bed is a mess. I have to be honest with you guys. Again, just like last week's CaliKim Garden Life, it's really hard for me to show messy areas on video. But the little dwarf sunflowers have taken such a beating in the heat. I think I'm just gonna cut them all off at the base and try and plant some more seeds. And the beans I've ended up pulling out, the runner beans are still there, the cucumbers, they're definitely producing, but the leaves are definitely looking a little bit ratty. So I'm gonna have to get out here this evening and spray on some Monterey's Garden Insect Spray. Definitely don't wanna do it now because it will burn those leaves, but the evening is a perfect time to do it, to take care of the leaf miners and anything that might be kind of creeping and crawling around. More of the fun stuff. Darn leaf miners. Now I'm not going to trim too much because I don't want to take all the foliage away because I still want some shade in the hot sun, but I am going to trim the worst of it. What I decided to do with the sunflowers instead of take them out is just to trim them up, because if I completely took them all out, I'd be waiting maybe 6 to 8 more weeks for more flowers, but trimming them up, I could get some more blooms in about a month or so. And then I filled in the gap with some of the teddy bear sunflower seeds from my sunflower seed collections. And the arugula, which is underneath the trellis, because of the heat, it's past its prime and ready to come out too. Almost done with the chill zone garden bed. I'm getting hot, and sometimes the garden does feel a little bit overwhelming. I have to be honest with you. It's a lot to keep up. Do you ever feel that way? So what I always tell myself when I start to feel that way is just have to do it garden bed by garden bed, one little step at a time. A little bit at a time adds up to a lot. So I'm going to finish the scarlet runner beans behind me. They're looking brown and crispy, and I know that will really help them put on more beans. And let me know what you're working on in your garden this week, and if you've ever felt overwhelmed too. You got this. Jerry's up filming under the deck. Let's peek in on him. This is what it looks like when CaliKim and CameraGuy are filming at the same time. Having fun under there, Jerry?
Oh yeah, shooting my final shot.
I just shot my final shot, the chill zone. Are you ready for lunch?
I'm ready for lunch.
I am hungry and hot. Let's go in. Sunday morning, 10 a.m. It's already 95 degrees out here. It's going to be a crazy hot day. And I didn't get out here as early as I wanted to trim up the pollinator garden right behind me here. Normally during the week, I get up around 4:30, believe it or not, to get things set up for the day, to get our content prepared, to get our orders all ready to ship out. Today I slept until 6, so man, I'm living it up here on the weekends. I actually had to get up and color my hair, and I hate to tell you, but I am getting gray. Don't look on our videos. So I came out with my hair color on. That's a pretty sight, and actually trimmed up the herb garden. Got that done while it was nice and cool. I'm gonna dump my compost in the compost sack and then hit the pollinator garden in the chill zone area while it's still in the shade. So got one garden bed down, check. Another garden bed here to go, and then by that time I think it's going to be way too hot. Well, unfortunately I haven't been able to get too much cleanup done on the side yard this week. For one thing, it's been way too hot. For another thing, we're still working on the deck. Because of the heat, it's really slowed things down. We have a little bit left to do on the skirting. But I did want to show you kind of my little compost setup here. I've actually got 3 different Smart Pots compost sacks. I have one at the end, that big black one. That's their original compost sack, the 100-gallon that I keep leaves in. Almost down to the bottom with leaves, so not a lot of leaves yet left. The second one here is the green urban compost sack that a lot of you have started composting with this year. And that's where I keep my finished compost. I'm not adding any more scraps to that, and it just smells like black gold. It's just gorgeous. The sack right next to it is where I put my scraps from the kitchen. And then we'll let this one sit and finish up and start a new one. The pollinator garden is looking pretty rough, and I kind of like it to go wild. I don't groom it or really manicure it that much, but it's pretty bad now. A lot of these dead flowers I want to pull out or at least trim back and get some more zinnias in, so at least I have a chance of getting more bloom time and bringing in more pollinators before the end of the summer. So here we go. The back side of the pollinator garden is done. Now, I didn't quite mean to trim it back quite so drastically. I was just gonna cut out the dead flowers. But sometimes once I start cutting back, before I know it, the whole thing is gone and it actually ends up feeling really good. So my plan is to plant some zinnias back there. I already have some going in some Smart Pots. So just planted some brand new seeds in flats up on the deck. Probably will spread some seeds back there too, but not today. It's 2.5 hours later from when I first started today, and we are hot. We're heading in to have some lunch. Camera guy is just finishing up on the deck up there. So we'll pick this up another day. Maybe if it's cool enough tonight, I might come out and plant some zinnias. You trimmed the tree.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is what I'm talking about. I love seeing the finished product at the end. It always makes you feel like you got stuff done. Thanks for being with us.
Feels like we had you over. See you on the next Garden Life.